Alright folks, what's hitting us today is going to be brutal and far-reaching. We're still talking about up to 2 feet of powder in the hardest hit spots. Plus serious ice buildup that's going to knock out power for weeks. Yeah, you heard that right? Weeks. Not just a few days. We're watching incredibly fierce winds tearing through Tennessee as this low-pressure system gains strength. Wind gusts have clocked in at 72 miles per hour. When you've got that kind of wind slamming into ice-covered trees, you're basically looking at a total nightmare scenario. The warnings haven't changed much since yesterday, except for one big addition. Ice storm warnings are now stretching into western Kentucky, adding to the already huge alert zone that covers the south and reaches up through the mid-Atlantic. This thing just keeps growing. Last night, the storm delivered exactly what we were dreading. We recorded over 14,400 snowfall reports throughout the affected areas. Add to that 187 reports of freezing rain and 136 reports of sleet. And that was just during the overnight hours. Those numbers are going to skyrocket as we move through today. The power outage situation is getting worse fast. We've already passed 400,000 homes sitting in the dark, and that figure is jumping up every hour. Here's the breakdown of where people are hurting most right now. Tennessee has 69,000 homes without juice. Mississippi, sitting right in the bullseye of this ice storm, has over 107,000 homes in darkness. Louisiana, especially the northern parts where ice has been relentless, it's dealing with over 77,000 outages. Overall, we're looking at nearly 100,000 more outages on top of those numbers across the region. Even New Mexico, way out on the western fringe of this mess, has over 11,000 customers without electricity. And honestly, these numbers are about to explode as the storm barrels into the mid-Atlantic and northeast while continuing to pound the Kentucky and Tennessee valleys, by the way. If you want specific forecasts for your area or city, drop them in the comments below. I'll get to them individually when I can. Also, if you dig the video and hit that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. Seriously, it helps me keep doing this. Now, let's keep moving. The National Weather Service dropped a new impact graphic at 4:15 this morning. Everyone needs to see what it's showing. Ice accumulations are going to top ½ an inch today across a massive area. In some spots, we could see totals pushing past a full inch. Where that happens, we're talking catastrophic damage. We're looking at locally over an inch of total ice buildup in parts of northern Louisiana, central and northern Mississippi, southern Tennessee, and the southern Appalachians. In those zones, the fallout could drag on for a week or longer. That means potentially hundreds of thousands of people could be without power for at least 7 days. Remember, we've got another Arctic blast coming right on the heels of this one. Losing electricity for a week when temps are diving well below zero? That's life-threatening, plain and simple. Let me walk you through what's still coming, because this storm is nowhere near finished. For snow, everything in the light blue shading is looking at 1 to 2 more inches. The darker blue reaching up toward Michigan is facing up to 4 additional inches. Light yellow areas are getting hit with 6 more inches. Darker orange means 8 inches. The really dark orange across the interior northeast into New England is looking at 12 additional inches. And in the red and dark red zones, centered right over Boston and eastern Massachusetts, we're talking 18 inches to 2 feet of additional snow. Boston is going to get absolutely hammered worse than anywhere else with this system. You're potentially looking at 22 inches or more when everything's said and done. Pack your shovel, Boston. The additional ice accumulations are equally scary. Yellow shaded areas are getting another 1/10 of an inch on top of what's already fallen. Red areas are facing a 1/4 inch more. Darker red is approaching 1/2 an inch additional. This corridor of extra ice stretches from Louisiana through Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky right into areas already reeling from the initial ice storm. And I'm seeing a major danger zone in the models showing multiple inches of ice for parts of Virginia. The models have been hammering this point for several runs now, and I think we're going to see warnings seriously upgraded for the mid-Atlantic. The National Weather Service has confirmed what I've been warning you about after this storm passes. Communities from the southern plains to the northeast, are going to wrestle with bitterly cold temperatures that'll slow cleanup efforts, drag out infrastructure problems, and keep travel conditions dangerous for several days. The cold isn't just annoying, it's going to bog down every part of the recovery process. Let me break down the timing of today's events, because understanding the sequence matters. All morning, snow is going to keep piling up across the Ohio Valley and start pounding the Northeast. Heavy bands are forming first across Pennsylvania and New Jersey. But right behind that snow comes sleet, followed by freezing rain. Then, for areas like southern Maryland, Delaware, and southern New Jersey, you'll actually see plain rain move in as warmer air pushes through. That rain is going to wash away whatever snow or ice built up earlier, which actually helps those spots. Impacts should ease up noticeably along the immediate coast by late tonight, but further north, completely different story. The snow keeps dumping. Cold air damming against the Appalachians keeps funneling freezing rain into the Carolinas and Virginia. This is why Virginia's ice totals keep climbing. I genuinely think ice storm warnings are going to expand for the mid-Atlantic today, because that low pressure is intensifying off the coast and dragging more precipitation into the cold air, creating bigger problems than originally expected. Speaking of that low pressure, it's going to strengthen big time as it moves offshore and then just park there for hours, continuing to pump heavy snow into New England. This is why Boston and eastern Massachusetts are staring down such extreme totals. That low isn't going to race away. It's going to hang around and keep the snow machine cranking. I also need to mention something that might catch people off guard. We have a tornado threat today. As this system comes together through the morning and we hit the noon hour, we're going to see a linear, severe weather threat develop with a QLCS, a quasi-linear convective system that can spawn tornadoes. Cells ahead of the main line could rotate northward and produce tornadoes. We might even see waterspouts along the coast. There's a 2 to 5% tornado probability across parts of the Gulf Coast today. It's not the main worry, but it's another hazard to keep in mind. Let me give you the regional rundown of what's still coming with this beast. Starting in the southern plains and Ozarks, Oklahoma through Arkansas and Missouri are going to pick up a bit more snow, plus some extra freezing rain. Springfield gets a couple more inches. St. Louis adds a few inches too. Then the heaviest stuff shifts eastward. In the Midwest, Illinois from Peoria to Springfield is in the impact zone. Indianapolis and Fort Wayne in Indiana are looking at 4 to 5 additional inches. Northern Kentucky picks up another 2 to 3 inches. Michigan from Detroit to Saginaw and all down the western side of the state is looking at a few more inches as well. Ohio is going to get pounded today. Columbus north through Mansfield to Cleveland is looking at 8 to 10 more inches of snow. This is major snowfall that's going to create serious headaches. West Virginia, around Charleston, picks up a couple more inches. Virginia needs to pay really close attention to the sleet threat I mentioned earlier. That strengthening low pressure is going to cause major problems. I'm expecting big forecast updates for Virginia today. Baltimore is looking at around 3 additional inches of snow before potentially switching to other precipitation types. Pennsylvania is where we start getting into the really impressive totals. Pittsburgh is looking at 13 inches. There's a big hotspot forming over Interstate 80, where 16 to 17 inches is possible. Eastern Pennsylvania around Scranton is looking at 10 inches. There's a major bullseye north of Pittsburgh, where totals could be even higher. Maryland and Delaware are only looking at a couple of inches, because that rain is going to move in and change things up. Southern Pennsylvania picks up around 4 inches. Philadelphia is looking at about 6 inches of snow. New York City is looking at 10 inches with totals climbing as you head north. Long Island gets around 10 inches too, but the totals really explode as you push into New England. Connecticut, Providence, Springfield, Massachusetts, and especially Boston are looking at 18 inches or more. Boston specifically is showing 22 inches in the latest model runs. This is going to be a historic snowfall for eastern Massachusetts. Hope you've got nowhere to be for a while. Upstate New York, from Buffalo to Rochester to Syracuse, is looking at 1 foot to 1.5 feet. Albany picks up about 18 inches. There's a real hot spot in the northern part of the state showing 20 inches. Vermont and New Hampshire are getting absolutely buried with a couple of feet possible. Manchester is looking at 18 inches. Portland, Maine picks up about 16 inches. Now, let's talk ice, because this is where the most dangerous and longest-lasting damage is happening. The accumulations are piling up across a massive area, and the situation is critical in several regions. Thank you guys. See you next video.